December 19th, 1928. A search plane circles above the Colorado River. Below, wedged against the rocky bank near mile 237 of the Grand Canyon, something floats in the water. A boat, 20 feet long, wooden, intact. The pilot radios down. Rescuers scramble down the cliff face, hope surging through exhausted bodies. They've been searching for 31 days. They reach the scow, and then they stop. The boat is perfect, upright, supplies securely strapped down. No damage, no chaos, no signs of struggle. Bessie Hyde's diary sits tucked safely in a leather bag. Her camera rests beside it. Food supplies, blankets, everything exactly where it should be. Everything except Glen and Bessie Hyde. The newlyweds had simply vanished, as if they'd stepped out of the boat for a moment and never came back. But this wasn't a calm lake on a summer afternoon. This was the Grand Canyon, mile 237 of the most brutal rapids in North America. The boat should have been destroyed, smashed against rocks, capsized, torn apart by the relentless current. Instead, it drifted peacefully downstream, a ghost ship carrying the belongings of two people who had disappeared without a trace. And among those belongings, in Bessie's diary, the last entry was dated November 30th, 12 days earlier. The final words of a 22-year-old woman who would never be seen again. Let's go back 6 months earlier. Spring 1928. Glen and Bessie Hyde are getting married in Idaho. Glen is 29, a farmer and outdoorsman from Twin Falls. Experienced on rivers, strong, confident, the kind of man who builds boats with his bare hands and runs whitewater for fun. Bessie is 22, an artist, a poet, a bohemian spirit from West Virginia who dabbled in theatre and verse. Her first marriage had just ended the day before. She's looking for adventure. They'd met the year before on a passenger ship to Los Angeles. The connection was instant, magnetic. Now they're planning the honeymoon of a lifetime. Not a beach resort, not a European tour. The Colorado River, through the Grand Canyon, 277 miles of churning water, brutal rapids, and vertical canyon walls that trap you between rock and current. Only 45 people had ever completed the journey. Glen wants to set a speed record, and if they succeed, Bessie will become the first woman to run the entire length of the Grand Canyon. It's more than adventure, it's fame, book deals, lecture tours, a ticket to a different life. There'll be legends. So that October, Glen builds a 20-foot wooden sweep scow in Green River, Utah. He names it Rain in the Face. No motor, just oars and determination. They pack supplies, cameras, Bessie's journal, and on October 20th, 1928, they launch into the Green River, heading toward the Colorado, toward the Grand Canyon, toward history. For the first 3 weeks, everything goes according to plan. Bessie writes in her journal, enthusiastic entries about the beauty of the canyon, the thrill of the rapids. They're ahead of schedule, making remarkable time. Glen is in his element. This is what he was born to do. But Bessie is starting to change. The romance of adventure is wearing thin, replaced by exhaustion, cold, the endless bone-jarring impact of rapids, the spray of icy water, the claustrophobia of canyon walls that block out the sun for hours at a time. And Glen's obsession with the record is growing. Faster. Push harder. Keep moving. November 16th, 1928. The Hydes hike up the Bright Angel Trail to resupply, 10 miles straight up. After 26 days on the river, their legs shake on solid ground. At the top, they knock on the door of a cliffside studio. Inside are the Kolb brothers, Emery and Ellsworth, legendary Grand Canyon photographers, experienced river runners who know every rapid, every danger, every way the canyon can kill you. The brothers welcome the young couple, feed them, listen to their story, and Emery Kolb notices something. Bessie is quiet, withdrawn. When Glen talks about finishing the trip, setting the record, her eyes drift to the window. Later, when Glen isn't listening, Bessie leans closer to Emery. "I'm tired," she says softly. "I want to go home." Glen has become pushy, mean. The record matters more than her comfort, more than her fear. Emery notices something else too. No life jackets. He mentions it. "You're running the worst rapids in North America without life jackets." Glen laughs. They've made it this far, haven't they? Emery offers them a room. Rest for the winter, or at least a few days to recover. Glen refuses, coldly. They're too close now. Just 80 miles to go. They can't stop. Emery notices the tension. The way Glen dismisses Bessie's concerns. The way she shrinks when he speaks. But he can't force them to stay. Glen asks for a photograph. Something to commemorate the trip. Proof they made it this far. Emery agrees. He takes them outside, positions them on the canyon rim. The November light is golden and cold. He captures them together, Glen confident, Bessie distant. It's one of the last photographs ever taken of them. As they prepare to leave, Emery's young daughter runs out. She's wearing a pretty dress, clean shoes, the kind of clothes you wear when you're not living on a wooden boat in freezing canyon conditions. Bessie stops, stares at the little girl, and she says something that would haunt everyone who heard it. "I wonder if I shall ever wear pretty shoes again." Her voice is wistful, sad, like she already knows the answer. Then she turns, walks down the trail, back to the boat, back to Glen, back to the river. On November 18th, 1928, Glen and Bessie Hyde push off below Hermit Rapid. A man named Adolph Sutro rides with them for part of the day. He's likely the last person to see them alive. Then they disappear into the canyon, and they are never seen again. December 6th, 1928, Glen's father, Rollin Hyde, waits in Needles, California. His son should have arrived by now. The trip should be complete, but Glen and Bessie never show up. By December 19th, Rollin can't wait any longer. He travels to the Grand Canyon. Emery Kolb helps organize a search party. They start at Hermit Rapid, work their way downstream, scanning the banks, calling out, looking for any sign. Nothing. Then the search plane spots the boat. When rescuers reach it, the scene is surreal, eerie. The scow is upright, intact. Supplies are strapped down exactly as they should be. No water inside, no damage. The boat is in perfect condition. Bessie's diary is there. The last entry, November 30th. Diamond Creek, River Mile 225. Her camera is there. Film still inside. Their food, blankets, personal items. Everything except Glen and Bessie. For weeks, search parties comb the canyon. They focus on the area around Diamond Creek. Mile 225, to 237, hiking through side canyons, scanning cliff faces, dragging parts of the river. They find nothing, no bodies, no clothing, no signs of struggle. It's as if the couple simply stepped out of the boat and dissolved into the canyon air. The search eventually ends. Rolin Hyde returns home without his son. The case goes cold, but the mystery was just beginning. What happened to Glen and Bessie Hyde? Nearly a century later, we still don't know. But there are theories, dark theories, each more disturbing than the last. Theory 1, the rapids. The most accepted explanation among Grand Canyon historians. Near river mile 232, there's a rapid. In 1928, it wasn't well charted, wasn't well known, but it's brutal. Pieces of granite wall lie submerged just beneath the surface. Sharp, hidden, waiting. Historian Otis Marston made a compelling case that the Hydes hit these submerged rocks. The boat lurched. Glen and Bessie were thrown overboard. The current is merciless there, cold, fast, violent. Without life jackets, which Glen had refused to wear despite Emery's warning, they would have had minutes, maybe seconds. The river would have pulled them under, smashed them against rocks, carried their bodies downstream until they lodged beneath boulders or in underwater caves. It's plausible, logical, the kind of accident that has claimed countless river runners. But then why was the boat undamaged? Why was everything still strapped down? If the scow hit rocks hard enough to throw 2 people overboard, there should be damage, gouges, broken boards, something. Instead, the boat looked like it had been gently set adrift, like someone had walked away from it. Theory 2, Glen killed Bessie. This theory grows from the tension Emery Kolb witnessed. Bessie wanted to quit. Glen refused. He was obsessed with the record, with fame, with proving himself. What if Bessie tried to leave? What if she refused to continue? What if Glen, in a rage, killed her, threw her body in the river, then, overwhelmed by what he'd done, jumped in after her? Or maybe he staged the scene, made it look like an accident, then hiked out of the canyon and disappeared into obscurity. There are whispers, rumors, stories passed down through canyon guides, but no proof, no evidence, no body, just the haunting image of Bessie's last words. I wonder if I shall ever wear pretty shoes again. The words of a woman who felt trapped. Theory 3. Bessie killed Glen. This is the darkest theory, the one that refuses to die. What if Bessie had enough? What if Glen's obsession, his pushiness, his disregard for her fear finally snapped something inside her? What if she waited until his back was turned, grabbed something heavy, a knife, a rock, and killed him? Then she threw his body in the river, staged the boat, climbed out of the canyon, and started a new life. It sounds impossible. The canyon is brutal. The hike out is miles of vertical climbing. But Bessie was 22, strong, desperate. And here's where it gets strange. In 1971, 43 years after the disappearance, an elderly woman joined a commercial rafting trip down the Colorado River. She was quiet, watchful, especially around Diamond Creek. One evening, as the group sat around a campfire, a guide told the story of Glen and Bessie Hyde. And the woman spoke up. "I'm Bessie Hyde." The group went silent. She said Glen was abusive, obsessed, When she tried to leave, he beat her. So she waited until he slept, and she stabbed him, dumped his body in the river, hiked out, took a bus east, started over. She told this story with no smile, no emotion, like she was reciting facts. The group didn't know what to believe. Later, a writer tracked her down, Elizabeth Cutler, living in Ohio. When asked about Glen and Bessie, she denied everything, said she never told that story, didn't know any Hydes, wasn't Bessie. But the writer's gut said otherwise. Elizabeth Cutler died in 1998, taking the truth with her. Theory 4. Georgie Clark. After famous Grand Canyon river guide, Georgie Clark died in 1992. Friends went through her belongings. She had been intensely private, never let anyone in her home. Inside, they found something shocking. Glen and Bessie Hyde's marriage license, a pistol in her lingerie drawer, and a birth certificate listing her real name as Bessie DeRoss. Could Georgie Clark have been Bessie Hyde? It would explain everything: the privacy, the life spent on the river, the obsession with the Grand Canyon. But investigators found no conclusive proof. Georgie's early life was well documented. She wasn't Bessie. But why did she have their marriage license? Why the pistol? What did Georgie Clark know about the Hydes that she never told anyone? In 1976, after photographer Emery Kolb died, his family cleaned out his garage. Inside, they found a human skull with a bullet hole. For years, people wondered, was this Glen Hyde? Had Emery known something all along? Forensic analysis eventually ruled it out. The skull belonged to someone younger, someone who died decades later. Emery had been a county coroner representative. He'd likely kept evidence from another case and forgotten about it. But the discovery added another layer to the mystery, another question mark, another shadow. The Colorado River keeps its secrets. Glen and Bessie Hyde's bodies have never been found. Their scow, after Emery Kolb cut it loose near mile 237, drifted downstream until the river swallowed it. Whatever evidence remained aboard was lost. But here's what we know for certain. 2 people entered the Grand Canyon in October 1928, young in love, chasing a dream, and somewhere between mile 225 and mile 237, they vanished. Their boat remained, perfect, untouched, waiting, as if they'd only stepped away for a moment. But the canyon knows the truth, and the canyon tells no one. Sometimes late at night, when canyon guides drift past Diamond Creek, they say they can still feel something. A presence, a watching, like Bessie Hyde is still there, still waiting, still wondering, will I ever wear pretty shoes again? The answer, after 97 years, remains the same. No one knows. No bodies. No closure. No ending. Only the endless churning water of the Colorado River. And the ghost of a 22-year-old woman who wanted to go home. Who said she was tired. Who looked at a little girl in pretty shoes and knew, somehow, that her own story was already over. Did she die in the rapids? Did Glen kill her? Did she kill him? Did she escape and live another life, haunted by the secret she carried? The Grand Canyon doesn't answer. It only asks. And the question echoes through the stone walls, through the decades, through the theories and the rumors and the campfire stories. I wonder if I shall ever wear pretty shoes again. Bessie Hyde never did. Or maybe she wore them every day for 70 years, walking streets in Ohio or somewhere else entirely, carrying a name that wasn't hers and a past that was. We'll never know. The river keeps its secrets, and some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved.